Good morning from Southern California here in the riotous lands of LA County. Things are getting kind of crazy here, but that's not what I want to discuss at the moment, anyways. I want to just give a shout out to those people of God, men, women, young and old alike, who are in the workforce. And I want to encourage you to look at your job as more than just a place of employment, but rather a place of deployment. In other words, God has sent you there. Late last year, I received a phone call from a former coworker of mine. I left that place early, retired early to go full-time ministry. So it's been years since I talked to any of my coworkers. I had witnessed to them and, bore a testimony before them for years. And, just kind of lost touch with them all after I retired there. But this man reached out to me out of nowhere last year in a time of crisis. Without getting into the details, something had happened to his family, and he reached out to me. He even told me, he says, "I don't know why I'm calling you." He says, "I don't call any of my old coworkers." He says, "But I just felt like I needed to talk to you." So I prayed with him and tried to encourage him. But, after the dust settled, I thought to myself, wow, what amazing thing that God would have me and allow me the opportunity to be a witness and a testimony in a place like that. And I'm sure most of you are aware that that's what really takes place in the workplace. But most people view their job, and I'm talking about Christians, as a means to an end. In other words, put food on the table, pay the bills, live life. And sometimes it can be a drudgery. Sometimes the conditions aren't the best. Sometimes the employers aren't the best. Sometimes the co-workers are not the best. And so that's just part of life. It's very difficult, but most of my brothers and sisters out there would agree that, a lot of time is spent there. So rather than just looking at it as a place of drudgery where just put your time in and get a check, allow God to look at, give you the eyes to see that it's an opportunity each and every day to bear the witness of Jesus Christ to them. Not just in words, not just in inviting them to an event at the church or sharing your faith with them, but in your conduct, in your joy, in your work ethic, in your good attitude, in your response to difficult situations. And basically, as they observe your life over a period of time, whether that be several months or years even, or maybe even decades, you don't even realize how that seed is going to impact them. You might not see the fruit right away, but what an opportunity to have a harvest field in which God has sent you and placed you there to be a beacon of hope and a light. Probably some of those people don't even tell you the darkness of their own world, the circumstances and difficulties that they have. And you show up to work every day, with joy in your heart, and you're not, gossiping, you're not complaining, you're there just, living a life of a Christian before them. And so allow God to re-stir that or place that in your life, to see your workplace, your place of employment, as an opportunity in the great harvest field. You're there 8 hours a day, perhaps more, during the week. Spend a lot of time with these people. And I pray that God would stir your heart in such a way to see them in the new light of as a people who are burdened, people who are weighed down by, troubles and bondages, and are probably looking for something that's real. And so you are that real answer. Your testimony bears more impact than you'll ever know. So like I said, I just wanted to encourage the hard workers out there. Be encouraged. God is doing something in you and through you. And so just keep your hand faithfully diligent there in the harvest field of your employment. So who knows what's going to play out in the end? Who knows how many people will be impacted by your testimony? So till next time, keep on keeping on.